Hey, and welcome back. So, this is going to be basically a follow-up to my previous video regarding what happened with Lilah's love and the cats here. This is basically a part 2 or further discussion of that subject. So, as I mentioned, the issue with the cats here was basically a conflict of laws and ordinances and just being stuck in the middle between a rock and a hard place. What caused that? Basically, the Arkansas Code 20-19-302. And I have a lot of notes and information and things to read, so you're going to have to bear with me because this is not meant to be a pretty video. It just is what it is. It is information and education. So let me read to you about this particular code 2019-302. In regard to colony cat management, this code impacts several aspects. The definition of owner. The code defines the term owner to include a person who knowingly permits a cat to remain on or about their premises. This is important for colony cat management because individuals or organizations who manage feral cat colonies might be considered owners under this definition and thus subjected to the provisions of the Rabies Control Act. This is a big thing, not something for little old me. Rabies vaccination requirements. The Act requires that cats be vaccinated against rabies. This includes initial vaccination for cats 4 months of age or older, as well as regular revaccination. For colony cat management, this means that those caring for colonies would likely need to ensure that the cats are vaccinated against rabies in order to comply with the law. Stray cats and rabies. The code states that a stray cat that is not vaccinated against rabies is subject to destruction. This provision could impact colony cat management programs, particularly TNR programs, where feral cats are trapped, sterilized, vaccinated, and returned to their colony. While TNR programs aim to manage and stabilize feral cat populations, if these cats are considered stray and not vaccinated, they could be subject to this provision. Keep that in mind. Subject to this provision. What does that mean? Subject to destruction if there is no proof that they have indeed been vaccinated for rabies. Local control. This is a big one here. The code specifies that the Rabies Control Act does not limit the power of municipalities or other political subdivisions to implement further control and regulation of dogs or cats. This means that while the state law sets the baseline requirements, local ordinances could impose additional regulations affecting colony cat management, such as restrictions on feeding feral cats or the required registration of colonies. So, is that all bad news? I mean, it sounds scary. Cats being subject to destruction and so on. And it is scary. And despite what you may have heard on this platform, cats are subject to destruction if there is no proof of vaccination. How do we get proof of vaccination? TNR. Cats are usually ear-tipped when they are trapped and desexed. Ear-tipped cats are then normally seen and identified quite easily. And if they are ear-tipped, they have been fixed and vaccinated. That is why I have been pushing for a very long time to get these cats fixed, and why I insisted on ear tipping. Unfortunately, for a short period of time, those efforts were squashed, and I now have to go about this in a different way. And I am. But this is where the rub came in. This is how the issue was brought up as basically ammunition against me and my efforts here. So, is it all bad news? Well, if you remember, I said that last line. Restrictions on feeding feral cats could be a thing, but also requirements for registration of colonies. That's where I come in, and that's what I'm working on. I have many projects behind the scenes, and then I have projects behind the wallpaper and beyond and into the woods and weeds. So this is one of them. I'm attempting to get a registry. And what that means is anyone caring for a colony would then register their colony, and it would be a known colony. Their care would be monitored, and there could be compliance issues, but this would give people a chance to work to get colonies within compliance. TNR done, vaccinations done. This would be an opportunity to fix the problems, as difficult as it would be. And likely, some cats would maybe not make it through. And that is a very difficult and painful reality, but one that it's all or nothing, folks. We either take the bull by the horns or we do nothing. And if we do nothing, situations like happened here will continue to happen. And people who are doing the right thing will continue to face repercussions in the future. So that is what we are trying to resolve. The difficulty being that this would then most likely rest on the shoulders of animal control, and I know that they are a very busy organization. They have a lot of responsibilities and may not want to shoulder yet more responsibilities in the form of, overseeing a registry. So my thoughts on that are to place that responsibility, that burden on a different organization, someone else oversee it, possibly within our college or some other agency that would maybe make this more viable. So what does all this matter? What possible outcomes? Why does it make any difference to anyone? Well, here, it may not impact you at all, but you may have the same laws and just not know it. Here, though, it impacts us through our pet limits, which is an ordinance in our city. And and pet limits are controversial. So I'm going to talk about pet limits for just a minute because it matters. What are pet limits for? Well, they're supposed to negate nuisances, right? Noise, odors, insects, uh, animals in your flower beds, etc., cars getting scratched. All of the typical complaints about cats that you might hear. They're eating the birds and all that stuff, okay? So it's supposed to negate that. It's also supposed to prevent hoarding. And it's a public health and safety issue when it comes to animal bites. It's also supposed to restrict certain types of animals, not just cats. Although ours, I don't know where you live, but ours just restricts cats and dogs. So that part, not quite applicable, whatever the word is. It doesn't really apply to me in this area. And lastly, it's supposed to protect property values. So what are the myths around pet limits? Well, pet limits, they're basically supposed to prevent overpopulation. That's the biggest myth. It doesn't. I know this because I can walk out my door and see it. And in fact, in reality, the pet limits actually further aggravate overpopulation. And the way that mechanic works is, okay, there's a pet limit in place. So people that are good and responsible pet owners and, would go to a shelter and adopt an animal in need, they're not going to want to break the rules. They're not going to want to go and adopt because they don't want to get in trouble. So what happens is the numbers in the shelters keep going up because there's a disparity between the population of the animals and adopters, the pool of people willing and able to adopt. And that's a big problem. It also should limit the nuisances, right? I mean, that's what the proponents of this say. However, I don't know that this is true because, noise and odors and all of the insects and this and that, those things are not really always a provable fact. It's sort of an arbitrary thing because it assumes that, and no owner, it keeps all pet animal owners on the same playing field, right? So it basically says, okay, this person, and this person are all the same, and not one of them, is responsible enough or good enough with their responsibilities to keep these pets from causing these nuisances. So each one has the same limit. The whole blanket, the whole town, nobody is responsible enough above X amount of pets. Doesn't matter if you have a good income and you're a responsible person that, keeps your environment clean and stuff. None of that matters. The limit laws put a blanket over everyone. So also, they are supposed to prevent cruelty. Now, this is a big one because I see animal cruelty and neglect everywhere here. And these limit laws do nothing to prevent that. People are going to people. And in a lot of cases, it's really You can't prevent that. And unfortunately, again, you are in the city treated the same way as this person, and this person. It's arbitrary. It means everyone is treated the same. Everyone has the capacity to be neglectful, to be cruel. And it basically, it puts, it bases it on the absence of a problem. In other words, okay, we're not going to have animal cruelty if you just can't have the animals. Well, that's kind of overreach, right? Anyway, okay, so let's flip the page here and talk about the rest of this, because it goes into hoarding, and it's supposed to prevent hoarding, right? Now, we've had, I don't know how many cases just since January of hoarding and hoarders being, basically busted, animals taken, the premises, an absolute nightmare scenario. It does not prevent hoarding. People will do their utmost to hide, to cover up, whatever, because hoarding is a psychological disorder. And rules, ordinances, laws are not going to affect that. It's a mental problem. It is, not something that, the city is going to make better just by saying no. I mean, if a hoarder is shut down and their stuff is, cleaned out and they're told no more pets, they can just go somewhere else where no one knows them and start over again. That's that. Okay, so why are the limits bad? Well, the limits are bad because it promotes the needless killing of animals in shelters. And, the adoption numbers are brought down because of it. Also, it affects fosters. Yes. Can you believe that? People that foster animals are also affected by pet limits. So it is no wonder that fosters are difficult to find. That only hurts shelters and rescues even more because they're already overwhelmed. Okay, so number 2, the number is arbitrary and not based on known data. Who is to say that this person over here is okay with 3 pets, but this person over here is just okay with 1? So 1 is okay for that one. So then we're just going to make it everybody only 1. Only 1. Everybody only 1. And that's the law. It's an arbitrary number. There is no basis for it. It's just something that they have plucked out of thin air and said, that's the rule. And I don't know what gives them the authority to choose that number. I am not the same as my elderly neighbors. Okay, so number 3, limits are intrusive and they interfere with the enjoyment of one's own property. Pets and animals are property. I mean, I don't even have to, it's clear that there is no clarity needed on that one. The next one. In some states, it's actually been ruled to be unconstitutional. And one court basically said that you can't create a problem just to exclude it by its absence. And that makes sense. In other words, you can't say, well, just because Sally was naughty and made a mess with her lollipop last time, she's never getting a lollipop again. That's how we're being treated, like children. Okay, so that's about pet limits. So what all does that mean? Well, to sum it up, like I said, this Arkansas code basically makes it an issue where people caring for colony animals, colony cats, can be seen as owners. And if they are seen as owners and their colony exceeds X number, in the case of Jonesboro, that number is 5, then you are over the limit, over the pet limit. And you can be in some serious poopy. So that needs to change. And, myself, as for me and the cats here, when everything came down the pike earlier in the spring, I had to consult with animal control. It was not my favorite thing to do. Morally and ethically, most people would agree that what I was doing here in my own capacity was the right thing to do, is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do to practice TNR, to feed and care for cats that have been abandoned, thrown away, and are basically forgotten. Nobody gives a turd about these cats here. And in fact, I would go so far as to say there are plenty of people here that dislike them so much they would rather they not exist. So I know, and most of you watching this know, that the things I was doing are the right things to do. And up to and including asking for help, because I should not have to carry the cost. This should actually be something that other organizations and authorities carry the cost of, not a private citizen who sees a problem and no one is fixing it. So it was unfortunate, and in working with animal control here, we made a plan and worked together on that, and I am still working within the bounds of that plan. I keep the organization that is affiliated with animal control here, I keep them updated on the status of the number and population of the cats here, and that was part of the agreement. I was asked to reduce the population, and that is what I am doing. Now, as far as how many I will be held responsible for, I've already discussed that, and as you know, removal, and in some cases even just TNR efforts, will cause a vacuum effect and more cats will filter in. So I don't know how long I'm going to be having to do this. I could be having to do this work many, many years. This colony and the stray cats within 5 miles, there's been a problem for decades, and I have said that in the past, and it is 100% true. These cats have been here for a very, very long time and will continue to filter in, and I will continue to do my best to keep the population lower. I don't know how. I'm doing TNR. I am rehoming as many as I can. The thing is, here's the thing, and this is very important for everyone to know and understand. I have been doing this 8 years. That is the undisputed truth. I have published many video stories covering different cats that I have been doing this work with. That I got them fixed, that I got them healthy, that I placed them through rescue. This is exactly what I have been doing for a very long time, and it's nothing new to me. So in essence, nothing is changing. I'm still doing this, except now I have to do this. That's it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm still doing the thing. I am still, I was advised by animal control to continue feeding the colony, that not feeding the colony is tantamount to animal abuse and neglect. So I am still feeding. I am still working on TNR. I am still placing through rescues. There is nothing new or different. I'm still doing the same thing that I've been doing for years. So that is the scoop. It's just that now I have more responsibility. I have to keep. I've always kept. I've been strict on keeping documentation, and you all seen my, unless, if you're new, you don't know all this, but I do keep a big binder of all of the cats, and I keep a list of the cats in the colony and where they're at and what they look like and their health status and this and that and the other detail. And I have always kept that, and I have shown it many times previously when I had a big channel. But I will still continue to do that now because I have to. And I have to keep all of my proof and be able to produce that in a timely manner. And that's, again, nothing new for me. So, that's basically part 2. And I just wanted to explain in detail how all of this works or doesn't work. And I also want to tell you all that there is some documentation online that covers a young woman at the college here just down the road from my place who ran a TNR program and a colony caretaker program over on the college grounds. So it is not unknown. It is a common and acceptable thing to do, and there is proof of that. So it is okay. It'll be okay. And like I said, I have discussed all of this at length with our animal control director, Mr. Larry Rogers. And also I have had communication with Haas and animal control in a separate town here in Arkansas, and with a gentleman that is kind of over even my director, whom I have spoken to. So he's more credentialed than my director. So basically, everyone knows now what I am doing. What I am doing is not different or worse or anything than what has been done just down the street and at the college and was a-okay. So there is no there, my friends, and everything is okay. There is a lot of work to do, and I will need help with that work, and that is why that the need to get help for that is why I did correct my nonprofit paperwork to reflect new directors that I can work with and am working with, and also a subcommittee. And so that is getting off the ground very soon. I have all of that in the works, thank God. And it was really hard. Man, it's been rough. And, I still have 2 more steps to go. So I'm not done yet. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I think I can. I can do it. I will do it. I am doing it. We are doing it. And I have a lot of encouragement and patient and understanding and intelligent people helping me. And that's a big relief. So those are the things that are happening here. And it's not easy. It's a lot. It's a lot more than I bargained for, and has been complicated by actions of others. But still going in the same direction, folks. I don't know what to say. All right, I guess that's a wrap. So I will make other videos. Like I have said in the past, video, I highly doubt I will have cute kitty footage to show you. There are still some familiar faces here that if you were a past subscriber, you would recognize, but many are not. Many are gone forever. And that's very painful. But they would want us to keep going. They need us. They all need us. Even though I can't show them to you because I can't hardly even open my camera app quick enough to get a video or even a photo because they're feral, real feral, and not familiar with me. And maybe over time. Uh-oh, you know what that means. I guess I'll wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.